Mapp versus Ohio case of 1961, Dolly Mapp's home was searched without a warrant when police suspected she was holding a fugitive. She was charged and arrested for possessing obscene materials. Mapp later appealed the conviction on the basis of freedom of expression. In Mapp versus Ohio, the Fourth and 14th Amendment were very important factors. The Fourth Amendment forbids unreasonable searches and seizures of individuals and property, while the 14th Amendment forbids states from denying any person life, liberty, or property without due process of the laws. Justice Tom Clark spoke for the majority of the Supreme Court when he stated, "Our holding that the exclusionary rule is an essential part of both the Fourth and 14th Amendments is not only the logical dictate of prior cases, but it also makes very good sense. There is no war between the Constitution and the common sense." On May 21, 1957, police received a tip that Virgil Ogletree, a witness of a bombing at Donald King's house the previous day, was hiding at Dolly Mapp's house. On May 23, 1957, police officers arrived at Dolly Mapp's house, following up on the tip that they had previously received. Mapp made a phone call to her attorney. He advised her to not let the officers in without a warrant. With the lack of a warrant, Mapp refused to let the officers inside her home. A couple hours later, bringing along reinforcements, officers arrived and broke down Mapp's door. Upon breaking in, officers waved a warrant in front of Mapp's face. It turns out that the warrant that was presented was just a blank piece of paper. Mapp had a perfect place to put the warrant, down her dress. Officers relinquished the warrant and handcuffed Mapp. After, they proceed to search her home. Officers broke off into different directions in search for Ogletree and found obscene materials which were illegal at that time in Ohio. Officers arrested Dolly Mapp for obscene materials. With Mapp already in handcuffs, Ogletree was found and also arrested. In court, Mapp initially pleaded guilty to the possession of obscene materials. She then changed her mind, stating the material was a previous tenant's. His name was Morris Jones.
This picture shows that Mapp withdrew her guilty plea. On September 3, 1958, in Cleveland, Ohio, Dolly Mapp's trial began at the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. The prosecution had only two witnesses, who were two officers that searched her house. This court ruled she was guilty of possessing obscene materials. Mapp and her attorneys filed an appeal to the Court of Appeals in Ohio, but they would not hear the case. Mapp and her attorneys also took it to the Ohio Supreme Court, but they also refused the case. Justice Taft from the Ohio Supreme Court said the U.S. Supreme Court might be interested. On June 15, 1960, they filed an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The American Civil Liberties Union also filed an amicus curiae brief for Mapp. Mapp was eventually found not guilty of possessing obscene materials, and the Supreme Court later on incorporated the Fourth Amendment to the states.